quiet block in Regent Square now has a milestone architectural distinction, courtesy of Studio St. Germain. It is the site of the Wilkensburg Residence, the first single-family residence in Pennsylvania and only the fifth in the country to earn a Passive House EnerPHit certification. Created specifically for existing structures, EnerPHit is the highest certification standard for deep energy retrofits of existing buildings and is awarded for the highest ratings in energy efficiency, thermal insulation, improved air quality, and resilient construction. It is created and administered by the Passive House Institute, which is an independent research institute that played a major role in the development of the Passive House concept. Passive House is the only internationally recognized performance-based energy standard in construction. For Swickley-based Studio St. Germain, which specializes in high-performance design and healthy architecture, the Wilkensburg Residence represents a unique blending of sustainability and wellness. We are proud to have designed the first single-family residence in Pennsylvania to earn an EnerPHit certification, said Nathan, principal and founder of Studio St. Germain. The Wilkensburg Residence combines two of our guiding principles, building to give back and improving lives. A passive house is not only energy efficient and sustainable, but it also has a positive effect on its occupants. According to the Passive House database, which tracks passive house construction across the world, the Wilkensburg Residence is only the fifth EnerPHit certified single-family residence in the entire United States, underscoring how difficult such a distinction is to obtain. Receiving an EnerPHit certification means passing a stringent performance-based process that measures several key metrics, including airtightness, energy efficiency, and thermal comfort. The progressive owner of the Wilkensburg Residence was interested not only in energy efficiency and sustainability, but also in having a healthy environment to live in. This combination of wellness and productivity is unique to high-performance design. We spend about 90% of our lives indoors, says Nathan St. Germain, so it makes sense to optimize the spaces we spend the most time in, our homes. In designing for a healthy and eco-friendly environment, a passive house with high-performance elements, such as water filtration and daylighting, amounts to a therapeutic space for occupants, allowing them to thrive in comfortable surroundings. Originally a storefront before becoming a cramped single-story one-bedroom, the 700-square-foot Wilkensburg Residence has been transformed into a stylish example of sustainable, healthy architecture. Among its key features are an advanced HVAC system for indoor air quality and all-electric utilities which bypass the use of fossil fuels. Because it features an energy recovery ventilator, or ERV, the system continuously exchanges stale indoor air for filtered fresh air. This active circulation dilutes pollutants, strips out airborne allergens, and manages humidity levels to create an environment where mold cannot thrive. In addition, the Wilkensburg Residence is designed to maximize natural light. Research has shown that improved indoor air quality can sharpen cognitive function and drive productivity, while extended exposure to daylight improves the well-being and mood of building occupants. Once a specialized concept imported from Europe, passive houses are becoming more popular in America, where homeowners are beginning to realize the value of decreasing energy consumption and constructing with quality materials. While upfront costs for materials and labor skyrocket throughout the construction industry, a passive house with its reduced energy usage offers significant savings over its life cycle. Designed to prevent leakage and eliminate drafts and thermal bridges, a passive house requires less energy for heating and cooling. As a result, utility bills are significantly lower than those of standard homes. Over time, these savings on electricity offset the initial costs of design, materials, and construction, making a passive house a sound financial investment. With the cost of construction rising every day, there is a real incentive for prospective owners and buyers to invest in homes that promote wellness and that are energy efficient, allowing them to live more comfortably and to recoup their initial investment over time, said St. Germain. If standard construction is expensive, why not design with energy efficiency and occupant health in mind? As the first single-family residence to achieve an EnerPHit certification, the Wilkensburg Residence sets a new standard for existing homes across Pennsylvania, based on improving the day-to-day lives of its occupants and the conscious use of energy resources. I had the opportunity to sit down with Nathan St. Germain, principal and founder of Studio St. Germain, to discuss this project further.
So when I founded the firm back in 2014, we had founded it on a philosophy of building to give back. And building to give back for us means our commitment to architecture as an art and to architecture as a public good. And we feel that the public good piece of it really dovetails nicely into the sustainability and high performance building work that we do. Yeah, there's a handful of projects. One of them that was recently certified passive house was our Wilkensburg passive house project. There's another project which was a mixed use commercial building that was part of our and or was a participant of our high performance program. And our high performance program, we launched in 2018. And we did that because we were finding we were getting more and more people were coming to us interested in sustainability and at different kind of education levels in terms of they really knew what they wanted to do and they wanted to find someone to execute that vision about what their options could be and wanted to get more of an understanding if their project is an existing building or new construction, is it a good candidate for a certification and what types of certifications are out there that they could possibly consider. So we had built the program around around that. And what we had done was we had built these assessment tools where at the beginning there's a questionnaire, and in that questionnaire, our clients will answer that. And from those answers, we will put together what we call an environmental performance quotient
Okay.
for them, which is specific to their interests and also like to their specific project, goals and things like that. And then from that, what we do is we build a high performance program plan for the specific project. And from that plan, they're able to, choose essentially between whether all the things that we recommend they want to initiate or at least
Okay.
explore, or they will pick certain things that they may prioritize a little bit more than others. I would say it's a little bit of both. Some of our clients will come to us specifically for that specialization because
Okay.
they're familiar with with the firm and what we offer. But then there are others that will come to the firm and may not know specifically about the program.
Mhm.
And what we do is when we do those kind of initial discovery sessions about designs and goals and objectives and things, if they start inquiring about some of the things that we feel they would be a good candidate to participate in the high performance program, we will often recommend that and see if they're interested in it, give them more information about it and what it means, and kind of let them select if they want to take the first couple steps. And some of those assessment tools, like I said, like the questionnaire and things like that. And that's I would say most of what we're doing now. That's a great question. That our Wilkensburg Passive House project in particular, where that had come to us, and the client was specific about understanding if that EnerPHit certification could be something that was feasible. For instance, they had come to us, with an understanding of the passive house standard, and also an understanding that within that standard, there's the EnerPHit, which is specific to existing buildings. Yeah, so I think with existing conditions is probably the biggest challenge in general, right? Because you can design and you can plan for as much until and make certain assumptions on things, but the time in which the certain assumptions are then revealed by
Right.
like exploratory demo and things like that, then what happens is you have to be nimble and be able to adjust,
Sure.
right? And the nice thing about the passive house standard specifically is that it's not a prescriptive standard.
Okay.
right? So the different assemblies and systems and things like that are flexible, and which is nice when you're dealing with existing conditions, because you may have an idea for a specific assembly or detail
Hmm.
that is for the certification. And then you find that the existing condition is a little bit different. You can modify that,
Sure.
um, but you just have to always be kind of looking back onto the energy model to make sure that what's being changed and how that's impacting the model, you're still within the limits of the certification. Yeah, I think that there's a piece of it that is an education piece, right?
Mhm.
That we say, you can't act if you don't know, right? So there, some just don't know that it exists.
Okay.
So once it is known, there's that kind of advocacy and awareness that we try to uh, promote and teach our clients as well, that okay, this is a standard that's out there.
Hmm.
And that's the one nice thing about the high performance program, because when someone participates in that, then we can really analyze if it's a good fit for that type of certification, as an
Sure.
example. And I would say the other piece to it as well is that existing buildings they have challenges. There's difficulties in hitting those levels of performance when
Hmm.
you're dealing with existing conditions and not in control of like new construction. So sometimes
Sure.
the challenge in having to do that, in addition to also um, some of the economics behind it as well.
Right.
Well, I think, based on if we're talking about the EnerPHit specifically, just understanding to the best of your ability what the existing condition is,
Hmm.
and looking at it through the lens of feasibility, is the first logical step. And then from there, I think, it's not so much the material in particular, it's
Hmm.
just how you use it, right? So there
Okay.
are ways
Yeah.
in which you can design, and you really have to actually be very cognizant and careful when you are dealing with existing buildings, and how particular assemblies, when you've got existing walls that you can't touch, as an example, like they
Sure.
may be masonry, and you're forced to insulate on the interior side of the masonry wall. You really have to be careful with those particular assemblies.
Hmm.
And I think that people who think that it may be too impractical, let's say,
Hmm.
um, I think the way to possibly, speak to it, and from the reverse side of it, would be, showing the information and the data.
Right. Right. It's, yeah, kind of showing the impracticality of not doing it, and increased utility costs and things like that on the other side.
Right. And I think that's a great point, because, the cost of construction today
Hmm.
is high. And, when the cost of construction is high, combined with, inflationary times as it relates to utility costs and things like that, if people, business owners or homeowners, are looking to take a project on, knowing that they plan to, occupy or own the building for a significant amount of time, looking at the cost differences between the, let's say, the code based design to the higher performance design or passive house design, and then run an economic model
Yeah.
as well, in addition to, what the energy model information is putting out as well. And that can oftentimes really favor the higher performance because we're talking about things like future proofing and, if it really is energy efficient and as well as, just a healthy space to occupy, then
Right.
there's a lot of value in that as well.
Yeah, I think there's a shifting focus to that as, since post-COVID, now we're all spending a lot more times in our houses. And
Mhm.
so it will be interesting to see if more people start to take on these certifications and start understanding more about, the health, safety, and welfare of their homes, and, instituting these standards for those purposes also.
Yeah, and I think, you know, as unprecedented as, COVID was, and now I feel like it's a bit in the rearview mirror, it did bring a lot of awareness to indoor air quality,
Right.
and which I felt was a good thing to, to come out of it because uh, a lot of people started to become concerned with, okay, well, how is my HVAC system performing? What are the things that I can do, um, to improve the indoor air quality of my home? Because we know we can't necessarily control what goes on outside, but we can control more what is happening on the inside. And
Mhm.
we spend about 90% of our time collectively inside of a building.
Right.
Nothing really impacts our minds and our bodies more than the built environment that's around us.
Right. It's interesting. I think a lot of people may not realize that the architects are thinking about it down to that level. Maybe they're thinking about the outside of the building and what that looks like, but thinking about it down to the quality of life inside the building too. And I think, these certifications and standards, put a finer point on that, obviously.
Yeah, there are different incentives. Like there are federal incentives, and then there are state-based incentives, and sometimes there's even like city-based incentives, like depending on where you're located.
Okay.
Um, Now, the thing with the incentives, they vary depending on, what state you're located in,
Sure.
right? So Pennsylvania will be a little bit different than, let's say, the state of Massachusetts, as an example.
Mhm.
But the other thing as well is that depending on when you're doing your project and what administration is currently in office, that can also change a little bit some of the incentives that carry over year or
Sure.
get added or replaced.
Mhm.
So I would say that given that there's that fluctuation of them at the different levels, it's always good to kind of see what's out there at the time in which you're trying to leverage some of that, or at least know what you may qualify for. The one I think that is the most consistent at the federal level is the tax incentive for renewables, which is like solar panels.
Okay.
Um, Now that percentage differs year over year.
Mhm.
Sometimes it changes, sometimes it doesn't. I think the last time we looked at it, it was around 26%.
Okay.
Um, so which is pretty good.
Yeah,
And
that's a good percentage.
yeah, and again, when you're dealing with like existing buildings in particular, sometimes if the building itself is well suited for a renewable system to help offset some of the energy use and consumption of the building, um, you can run those economics too, right? And
Okay.
see, okay, well, renewable is an option, and if it is an option, you build it into the energy model, and you can see, how much more benefit you can get from that, and it
Mhm.
doesn't always, you know, work depending on orientation and available like roof area and things like that. But
Sure.
again, it's something worth exploring if someone's interested in that, because there are a lot of roof areas that
Right.
aren't occupied or there may be area to take advantage of. And that's just another component that we would explore, like in our high performance program. Yeah, I think if it's something that someone wants to learn a little bit more about, there's a lot of information through the Passive House Institutes that you can access, online, that's tailored to, like, higher level of what it is, what it means, what are the benefits, things like that.
Mhm.
Then they also have databases within those websites that can connect you to design professionals and construction professionals that are certified in that particular standard. So
Okay.
you can you can then kind of reach out, find someone in your area, reach out to them, and discuss your project and
Sure.
what maybe you're interested in doing and why, and starting starting there.
Okay, great. No, I think that's very helpful to know. I think, people may have an idea, but and we would hope that everyone, eventually maybe aspires to some of these more sustainable standards. But
Mhm.
when you have people that are well versed in it, I can imagine that it certainly makes the project go more smoothly, and makes it an easier transition to bring in some of these additional standards.
Right. And there's also other pieces too where, as an example, there in Pennsylvania, they have Passive House Pennsylvania, right? So that organization is all about kind of education and advocacy of Passive House. So they have meetings, and then there's also Passive House conferences and things like that that people can attend to learn a little bit more about it. If they don't want to go, let's that they don't have a project in particular at that time, or ready to do one, but want to learn a little bit more about it, there are other kind of educational opportunities that are out there too.
Oh, great. Well, that will be a nice resource to be able to share with the members. I appreciate you taking the time to talk about the project.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And yeah, yeah, it's great to be able to talk about the project and have you guys interested in learning more about it as well. And I think it's a good achievement for the state of Pennsylvania, and
Yeah.
also what's possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah, that's a great way to put it, is, it can be done. I think there's some effort, there's always like a little bit of effort, but that nothing worth having doesn't come with that, right?
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again. If